Hello everyone and welcome to the Westman Culinary Showcase. We are here today at, let's see if I can get this right, the Manitoba Institute for the Culinary Arts at Assiniboine College in Brandon. And I am here today with Chef Brad, who's an instructor at the Culinary Institute. What do we call it? The school? The school. And then we have here our student, our culinary student, Chase. And we are here today in our first episode of the Westman Culinary Showcase, and I'm very excited. Thank you guys for having us here. This is really exciting, and I understand today we're going to learn about canning, which is great. But before we get into that, Brad, how long have you been teaching here at the school?
Well, I've been teaching for about 4 or 5 years, but I've been working here for almost 17 years now. So
17 years.
A long time, yeah.
Okay, and so you're in the teaching, and do you teach like all different levels, or is there a specific program you teach?
I mostly teach with the second years, and recently more stepped into the pastry side of things. And I also look after the preserving and
canning. Okay. And Chase, what year are you? A second year?
Yeah.
You're a second year culinary student. And I could ask so many questions about that, but we only have so much time. So let's jump into it. So I understand today we're going to make crabapple jelly.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to crabapple jelly using crabapple juice that we made from apples from our orchard here at Assiniboine College. So I'm going to get Chase to get started on this because it does take a little bit of while. We've got to do some boiling. So Chase is going to add this to a nice clean pot. Make sure your pot is very clean. Otherwise, it's going to boil for a long time, and you can take particles off the, if there's little burnt on crusties, they're going to get in there and cloud your jelly. So you don't want to have those. So make sure your pot's really clean. So we're starting with 6 cups of crabapple juice and 4 cups of sugar.
Did I see cinnamon?
I do have some cinnamon sticks here. We're going to add those in as well. You don't have to. It's just an optional thing. We can also add other spices. If you wanted. Like we could do like a chai jelly. We could add, cardamom and clove and cinnamon and all that. Or you can keep it pretty plain. It's up to you.
Okay.
The big thing is don't put ground spices in it.
Oh, so you want like the whole spice?
Yes, ground spices are going to cloud your jelly.
Oh.
So you want to keep it nice and clear so when you have it in the jar, it looks nice. Right?
Okay, so Chase is stirring. Okay, then.
Yeah, so this is on. We've got it on a high heat. And we need to boil this. Bring it up to a boil, and then you're going to want to keep stirring it. And you might notice we have a very large pot for the amount of stuff we have in there. But when this boils, it's
only like that full.
It's going to really foam up on us. So if you use too small of a pot, you're going to end up boiling over.
Okay, so allow a lot of room in there for that foam.
You want a large pot, yeah. And this can take a little bit of time, depending on how much pectin you have in your juice. So
is that natural pectin?
Natural pectin from the crab apples.
Okay.
So if your crab apples are very ripe or overripe, where they're getting really sweet, falling off the tree, you're not going to get as much pectin. So you want to pick them when they're a little bit underripe or still hanging on the tree, and you're going to get more pectin from them, which is going to help your juice gel a lot better.
And I guess it's okay that they're not super ripe because you're adding sugar anyway.
Yes. So they're crab apples, right? They're going to be very tart to begin with. They're almost too tart to kind of eat on their own.
Yeah.
But that tartness that's a good sign that you're going to have lots of pectin.
Okay. I see, and I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought like the riper the better, but that pectin kind of degrades as it ripens.
Yeah, you want it to be less ripe, and then the more pectin you have in there, the quicker this is going to take.
So does the pectin turn to sugar as it ripens?
No, it's the pectin combined with the sugar to form a gel.
Okay.
So that's what's going to help this set. And if you add too much water when you're making your juice, then this will take a lot longer because we need to evaporate all that extra water out of it. So depending how much pectin and how much water is in your juice is going to determine how long this will take.
Okay, so what's your estimate? What's your guess? Best guess?
15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. And Chase has to stir the whole time?
Yeah, he's going to stir the whole time. We also need to think about sanitation. So when we're canning, it's really important that everything's clean and sanitized, and we follow kind of the proper canning guidelines to make sure that we don't get any bacteria in there that could cause harm.
So what happens if, say you didn't wash your jar properly and there was some bacteria? What could happen?
Well, they would stay in there in the product, right? And then over time, that's going to sit on the shelf, and they could potentially reproduce and create, foodborne disease or illness.
Okay.
So we don't want that.
Would you get mold? Like, would you be able to see it, or there's a
No,
chance
not
you won't
really.
see
There's
it?
a chance you won't see
Oh,
it. So
okay.
you need to make sure that we eliminate all those possibilities. So
Yeah.
how we're going to do that is we're going to boil the jars in our canner, and this is just a home canner
Okay.
that you can buy at any local hardware store.
Yeah.
It has a little
Like a little cage.
a little cage in
Can I
there.
see again?
Yeah, that's gonna hold
yeah,
our
yeah.
jars and make
There's
it a
a
lot
cage.
easier to lift them in and out.
Yeah.
So I have washed these in soapy water
Yeah.
first, and then rinsed them to make sure I get all the soap off, and then they're gonna go in here.
And do they have to be submerged?
Yes,
Or does the
so
steam clean them
I'm
as
gonna
well?
I'm gonna set them in here, and I'm gonna lower them and submerge them in the
Okay.
water.
Now, is there any risk of them breaking? I feel like when jars get hot, they can break sometimes.
They can, as long as they usually won't, as long as you do not shock them. So if if I was to take them out of the boiling water and put them in cold water,
Right.
they would
Or like
pop.
take them out of a freezer.
Yeah, yeah. So as long as
Okay.
we're not really doing a drastic change in temperature,
Yeah.
that should be fine.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave these in here for a good 2 to 3 minutes at least.
Okay.
Let them really boil and get sterilized. I do have a few other tools here that we're going to need. So I've got this handy little jar lifter.
Grabber, yeah.
Because it's really hard to take the jars out of the boiling
And
water.
is that for when you're sterilizing them, or for when you're making the
both.
jelly, or both? Like all
So,
stages? Okay.
Yeah, so it's a handy tool, and then this is also just a measurer that's going to measure the distance from our the top of our jelly to the top of our jar.
So it's uniform. You
Yes,
can make
because
them-
we need to. There is a space. There's a guideline that we need to follow. If we leave too much space in there, there's air in there, and that air has bacteria in it. So we're gonna fill our jar to the right amount so that when we put it in here, it's gonna warm up and push
Yeah.
that air out. And that's gonna make
Oh,
our
and
jar
then it's
seal.
going to seal.
So I also have a thermometer.
Okay.
That's how we're gonna tell when this is done. I'm gonna
Mm.
use a thermometer, and we want to take this to 218 degrees Fahrenheit,
Okay.
which is our gel stage. When we hit that, it should gel.
Does it have to stay at 218 for a while, or
As
just
soon as
once
I
you
get
hit that?
there, we're good.
Okay.
If you don't have a thermometer, there is another way. And when we get there, I'll show you that you can just eyeball it.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a trick to see if it's gonna set for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Because I guess I've seen that where people are like, "Oh, I made this, and it's like liquid, it's syrup still, so it didn't quite.
You did
the magic
boil it
formula
enough.
didn't
Yeah,
quite.
You didn't get to that right temperature because we're usually with this if you have your thermometer in there, you're gonna hit 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's
Right.
gonna stay there for quite a while
Oh.
because that's the boiling point of water.
Oh, so it'll get to 212, but you want it to 218.
Yes, so
you
then
want to
need
take it back.
at 212. It starts evaporating off that water,
Oh,
and then
okay.
once we get rid of enough water, then it will start to rise.
So you're basically a scientist, really.
No, definitely not. Okay, so my jars have boiled here for a few minutes. So I'm just gonna sneak in here.
Stay back.
I'm gonna lift this up so it sets
Is
up
that
on
hot?
the side.
That seems hot.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my jar lifter to remove these.
And so, could you sterilize the jars the day before, or should you be doing it right before it goes
Usually
in?
you want to do it right before.
Okay.
And some people will sterilize them in the oven as well. So
Oh.
you just want to make sure you don't go too hot, but you can just set them in a 250 degree oven for 10 or 15 minutes,
Yeah,
and
burn
then
off
Yeah,
anything.
it's just gonna heat it up and sterilize it.
Right.
So the rings with your jars, you can reuse them, right? We reuse our jars every
Right.
year, save them, so we don't have to buy new ones.
So is it canning etiquette? Like if someone gives me, say, somebody gifted me all this and I was like so excited, is it canning etiquette to give the jars back?
Absolutely.
Okay, take note of that. Give your jars back.
The jars are the most expensive part of canning.
Okay,
right?
noted.
They're not really expensive, but it does add up. So
Yeah.
you do a lot of it. And
Yeah.
the rings, we can reuse them and just sanitize them before we put them on. But you do want to use new seals every year.
Okay.
Okay, every time
right.
when you're done with your jar, throw these away.
Okay.
Okay, we shouldn't be reusing them
Okay.
because they're more of a risk of them not sealing, right? We do have lots of items. All the vegetables, beans, cucumbers, jalapenos, these were all grown in our garden here at Assiniboine
Okay.
College by our horticulture program.
Right.
And then we actually have all the crabapple products. We have an orchard here that is, it's really old. Like,
Yeah, okay.
you know, this goes back to the Brandon Mental Health days. Like
So it's the same orchard.
Yes, it's
from
the same
then.
from
You guys
then,
are still using it.
Yeah, we're using it now. Yeah.
That is very cool.
And then we've also added on with lots of new trees and different types of apples. But
Yeah.
the best juice comes off the old trees that have been out there for a long time.
And so we were chatting a bit before we started filming. And tell me more about there's I use the word philosophy. I don't know if that's the right word, but the field to fork.
Yeah, the field to fork philosophy or initiative.
Yeah.
And that's really just we have a horticulture program, a sustainable food systems program, and they have a greenhouse and a big garden, and they produce a lot of products for us, right?
So horticulture. So that's like taking care of the trees, like growing, gardening.
Yeah, gardening, right?
Yeah.
But they grow lots of stuff for their programs.
Yeah.
And then they have extra stuff, right? Because it's like they're growing it to learn.
Right.
Then what do they do with
what do you
it,
do
right?
with the food?
So
you
the philosophy is that food comes to us, and we need to try to use it, you know, in our program. So
very cool.
But we live in Brandon, Manitoba, right?
Yes.
So it's gonna get cold, and we can only, you know, so we get all the stuff in the fall.
Yeah.
And that's right when our programs start.
Okay.
So we need to be able to use this stuff throughout the year.
Yeah.
So the best way we can do that is by preserving it. So
okay.
canning is just one way of
Yeah.
preserving, right? So we do blanching and freezing as well of vegetables, so we can use them at our events.
Yeah.
We do some dehydrating. We make our own sun-dried tomatoes to use in a like sun-dried tomato bread or salad dressings, that type of thing. So we make salsas, pickles. We've got pickled beans, pickled beets. We've got some cool, different, interesting jellies. The students get to come up with their own jelly. So they make some cool, unique flavors. We did some jalapeno jellies, that kind of thing. So
you kind of, if I was a student, kind of you start the year with preserving everything to use through the rest of the year.
Actually, the first day of school in year 2, they get to go out and harvest apples. They actually go out and harvest. Yeah,
that is cool.
They harvest the apples, and then day 2 we go to the garden and we harvest alongside the horticulture students.
Okay.
We bring it all back to the kitchen, and they learn how to clean and process and preserve. And some of it's just like trying to wash and keep our carrots as long as we can, so we can use them in class, right?
That field to fork. So we have, it's grown right here, a lot of it at Simoine College, all the way to, you guys put on events like suppers and stuff like that,
Yes, we do dinners. We do we're called work integrated learning events. So it's a chance for our students to practice their skills in a live environment.
Right.
So we bring in public facing guests where the students get to cook for them, and different types of events. You know, some are buffets, some are more of like a reception style where the students get to do hors d'oeuvres, to a sit-down plated
like fine dining,
and we run a restaurant as well, the Great Grey Owl Restaurant.
So the restaurant, is that open?
It is open for a few weeks of the year near the end of the school year.
Okay.
By reservation only.
See, I've heard of that, but I wasn't sure what it was.
So it's like an a la carte style restaurant where the students get a little bit of restaurant service experience.
And so I'm just imagining these poor students, like it's like Hell's Kitchen back there, and you're like, take this back. This is garbage. I wouldn't feed this to my dog. Are you like that? Is that your style? No.
Maybe in my younger days.
Do we have a Gordon Ramsay in there?
Well, maybe. You never know.
We won't say who. We won't say who.
I'm just gonna check the temperature here. We're getting our foam's really coming up, so I'm gonna see where we're at.
It's about halfway up the pot now.
I think we still got a little ways to go here.
The suspense is killing me. Climbing, we're over 200.
The thermometer.
So it must be 212 if it's boiling.
Yeah, we're at least 212. So it's just slowly climbing up here.
Okay.
I can probably click this on now, and we'll be able to keep a closer eye on it. You do want to make sure you're on full heat though when you're doing it.
Full heat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you're just on a low simmer,
yeah.
You're actually you're gonna kind of overcook your pectin. So it's gonna take too long, and your pectin's gonna give you less gelling.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah. So you want to do it. You kind of want to boil it as fast as you can.
So, and I see now, like, I don't know if the camera can see, but we're almost near the top.
Yeah.
We're like that far from the top. So is there a risk of this overboiling?
Yes, that's why he's got to keep stirring it, right?
So if you keep stirring it.
He's stirring back those bubbles. And if
Do you do the old wooden spoon trick? Have you seen that? I saw that on the internet, so it must be true, right?
I don't know the wooden spoon one.
But if you lay a wooden spoon across the pot, it won't overboil.
Well, I
don't
just
know if
always,
it's true.
for jelly, I just keep stirring.
Just keep stirring.
And if you do stop, it will boil over and it's a very sticky mess. So you don't want to do that.
Yeah, and like get in all your little gas holes down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You're doing a great job, Chase. Keep it up. So what are we up to?
213.
213. Okay, I see what you're talking about. It's like a little plateau, and you got to push through that plateau. Yeah.
Yeah. Commercial break. We'll let this simmer for a few minutes.
This show is sponsored by Heritage Co-op. Heritage Co-op is a locally owned cooperative serving Westman for over 90 years. Okay, so we are getting close. I don't want to get too close, but what are we at, 217?
Yep, so we've almost reached our 218.
So close.
And I'm just going to quickly show you, if you don't have a thermometer, we can kind of have an idea if we've hit that gel stage.
Okay.
So I want to take a clean, not too hot a spoon. So I'm not going to use the one I was stirring with.
Right.
I'm going to take one that's a little bit cooler.
Like room temperature? Does it have to be
room
metal or could it be wood or plastic?
You
or?
want it to be metal.
Metal.
And so I'm just going to get a little bit of this on here, and I'm going to lift it up out of the steam. And I'm looking for sheeting. So
look at it, it's like forming a jelly.
Yes, you want to see it kind of come off in a little bit of a sheet.
Okay.
Some people like to say there should be, if there's two drips when they kind of come together and come off as one, then you've hit that gel stage. So like I can see it hanging there. So I know
it's almost like hair gel.
Yeah,
like
so we know we're gonna gel. But we have the thermometer, so we're also, we know that way as well.
Oh, and you know what? It says 218 because I was going to ask if you did that test and it said like 216, would you go by the thermometer or the spoon test?
I usually trust the thermometer, but you also, some thermometers lie, right?
Yeah.
So if it's
not calibrated,
if it's not calibrated, then you could be off. So if it doesn't seem right, use the gel test as well, right?
Okay.
Do both, and that way you know it's going to set.
So now Chase is going to take over?
Yes, Chase is going to bring this over, pour it into a measuring cup for us.
Maybe gives him some time. So is this time sensitive now when you get it to that 218?
Yes.
Do you have to? Yeah.
If it cools too much, it's going to start to set on us.
Okay, so we wanna let Chase give him his space.
So he's going to remove our cinnamon stick, and then he's also going to skim off the foam.
Oh,
so there's a little bit of a foam that sets on the top.
Yeah.
That's just the impurities coming up out of the juice. And we're going to skim the foam into here. While he's doing that, I'm also going to take...
Oh, and he's just using a spoon to skim the foam?
Yeah, he's just going to use a spoon. And I'm just going to take my seals for my jars, and I'm going to put them in a pot that's got some hot water in it.
Oh, I was wondering what that pot was for. Okay.
And what that's going to do is it's just going to warm up the rubber seal to help get it to
make it
bond.
more squishy.
And it's also going to sanitize my seals as well, because I don't usually run those through the dishwasher. Because the heat, if I run through the dishwasher, I could wash them with soapy water, but then I want to sanitize them.
And you wouldn't do them at the same time as those, because I guess it would cool down.
Yeah, it cools down. I want it nice and warm when we go to put our seals on.
Okay, so he's taking that foam off, because now I'm thinking, like, I've opened jelly before where there is kind of bubbly stuff on the top, so it doesn't hurt anything.
It doesn't hurt, but it can. It fools people into thinking it's mold sometimes.
Oh.
So if you skim that foam and it gives you a nice clean top, then less likely that someone might think it's mold.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so Jace is gonna pour our jars here, and so depending on the quality of your juice.
And measuring, I'd forgotten about that.
It's gonna depend how much product you end up with.
Okay.
Right. So if you had really watered down juice and you had to reduce it a lot more, you're gonna get less jars. So you're always kind of guessing how many jars you're gonna get. Okay. So with the recipe we started with, usually we get 4 to 6 jars. So we've got 5 ready to go here, but you can actually see it starting to gel up as he's pouring. So that's good. That's a good thing. We know it's going to set for us.
Now say we fill these 5 jars and there's some leftover and you're not going to can it. Is there anything you can do with that leftover? Like save it in the fridge?
Absolutely.
Or?
So I just have a little bowl ready here. So if I don't have enough to fully fill a jar,
Yeah.
right, I can't seal it, right, because I'll have too much air in there.
Right, so
But
no part jars.
I can just cool it and refrigerate it, right, and then use it within within a few weeks, and it'll be absolutely fine.
And will it turn to the same consistency, the same jelly?
Yep,
Oh, okay.
absolutely. It just won't be shelf stable like
Right.
the jars that we're going to process through the boiling water. Right?
So speaking of shelf stable, how long will these be good for when they're done?
Up to a year, as long as they're kept in the right environment, right? So we need to keep them out of sunlight and a cool environment. So like that's where your kind of your basement cellar storage is the best place. You don't want them in sunlight, and in just nowhere, a little bit cooler than room temperature is ideal. You can also just keep them in the refrigerator as well. I mean, it's just a little extra level of safety, and kind of for lots of people, if you don't have somewhere to store it, that's your best option if we don't have it. Okay. So we've got
trying to stay out of the way.
We got our four jars. They're all right to the right level, Chase. Yep, looking good. Okay, I'm just going to take a clean, damp cloth, and I'm going to wipe the rim.
See, I've seen Chef Ramsay do that.
So what this is doing is I need that top of that rim, because that's where my seal's going to sit. I need that clean and free of product, because if there's product there, then the seal won't happen, and our jar won't be safe.
So is there kind of like a standard fail rate? Like, is there like, well, if you do 100 jars, chances are 1 or 2 aren't going to work?
Absolutely.
Or if you're doing it,
Absolutely.
Okay.
I know doing this with students, every year we have lots of jars that don't necessarily seal.
Right.
And you do have options, right? We can just refrigerate it and use it, fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. We don't necessarily need to process it. Or we could re-boil it. So pour it out, melt down the jelly, and then redo the canning process.
And do you have to take it back up to 218 again?
Not necessarily.
You just want to get it
You just need
again.
to melt it back down so we can put it in the jar, and then we would put it back in the boiling water again.
So I see you're putting the rings on, and I noticed our cans back here that are the finished product don't have rings on.
Yeah, so really the ring is just there for this part, right? To hold that seal on there when we put it in here to process it.
So the ring's not even for storage necessarily?
Not necessarily. So with these, a lot of these get given away or used or taken. So I like to keep my rings because we reuse them every year, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
So one important thing here is we don't want to put this on too tight.
Right.
Okay. So it needs to be able to push up a little bit to push that little bit of air that's in there out. Okay. But you also don't want it too loose, or else water can get in. So
just that sweet spot again.
Just finger tight is what we say, but just not quite snug. Okay.
And do you want to push the tops down at all?
No. Okay. That needs to happen on its own. So we're going to put these back into our boiling water. I'm going to lower them down.
And water won't go in the jar? Oh.
Nope. So, and they are completely submerged in water.
They're covered with, I'm surprised water doesn't go in.
And then lid on, and I need that to come to a full boil for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. So you talk about the air has to push out, and I guess that creates a vacuum.
Yes.
So it's like the air pushes out and that lid clamps down?
So once you take it out, then you'll hear that lid snap down, and that's how you know it's safe, right?
Once we pull it out of there.
Yeah. So usually as soon as, not very long, but it can take a little bit of time too, depending on your product. Yeah. So once it comes out of the canner, you're going to let it sit at room temperature, usually overnight, or at least till it cools down, and then you're going to check your seal. And then you can poke the top. You don't want to poke them when you first take them out, because you can make it seal, but it might not be safe. So you need to let it seal on its own.
Right.
So, and then tomorrow we can check them, and if they're all sealed, then we're good to go. They're safe. If they didn't, then I need to refrigerate them or redo the canning process.
Can I can anything? Like, can anything be canned?
Well,
or
you definitely want to follow a recipe, like a proven recipe, right? And there are some rules, right? So with our fruit
Yeah.
items, right, we need to have, well, to do it in a boiling water canner like this, there is a
Okay.
rule that you need to have a pH level of 4.6.
Okay, so is there different types of canners then?
Yeah, so
Like-
there is a pressure canner.
Okay.
Right? So it's kind of more like a pressure
Maybe
cooker.
that's what I've heard
and
people talk about
and
exploding.
yeah, so and then
Okay,
it gets
okay.
the temperature a little bit higher.
Okay.
So you can can just about anything.
Okay.
But for using the boiled water, we need to have that more high acid so that botulism can't survive.
So what makes acid? What would?
Well, so like most of your fruits are naturally acidic, right?
Okay.
So your crab apples, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of these recipes have some lemon juice added as well. And so it
Okay.
is important you put that in there because that's usually in that recipe to bring the acidity level up to a safe spot. So,
and that's when you can use it in this.
yes, that's
And so does
so-
vinegar and lemon juice same thing?
yes, so
Okay.
your pickle brines are already acidic from the vinegar, but a lot of
Oh.
your fruitier items or even your salsas, like tomatoes
Yeah.
aren't actually that acidic. So lots of times like a salsa might have some vinegar added to it just to make it safe to put through the canning process.
Oh, so that's
With-
part of the science behind it.
Yeah.
So,
in like our strawberry jam recipe, right?
Yeah.
Strawberries aren't that acidic, so it has, it's got 3 or 4 tablespoons of lemon juice added to it. But it also has a lot of sugar, so you don't even really notice it's in there, but it's just bringing that acidity level up so that it's safe to do in a boiling water can.
All
We
that
have
stuff.
reached
Okay.
our 10 minutes here.
let's see what our fail rate is. Will we know today, or do you have to wait till tomorrow?
We may have to wait a little
Oh.
while. We'll see. They may start snapping right away.
I'm really excited for the pop.
So
Am
when I do
listening for a
take these
pop?
off, there might be a little.
I heard it. It popped. One for one.
If there is a little bit of water left sitting on the top, I'm just going to slightly tilt this to let it run off, but I don't want to turn it too far, or we could have the jam or the jelly push up on the seal.
Was that a pop?
That was a pop. So we're doing good. Okay, so these I just want to let cool on my counter.
With
I would say
a protective barrier.
Yeah, at least like 4 or 5 hours till they've totally reached that room temperature. Usually you want to let them sit overnight. Sometimes, depending on what the product is,
Yeah.
it does take a little while for the seal to come down or pop down. And then we're going to check them. Don't label them till they have sealed, right? Because we don't want to push down and force that seal down.
So very important not to touch them.
Yeah.
Don't pull the rings off. Just
we're
leave
just going to
it.
let it sit now and say once it's cooled, then it's ready to eat. So we could open it right away and try it, or
Yeah.
we can then store these till we're ready to use them.
and we had no leftover. So do we just have to trust they're delicious?
Well,
trust it.
we'll open one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, but you can see we do have a nice clear jelly, right? So
Yeah. Oh, there's bubbles in it.
there's a few
Is
bubbles.
that okay,
yeah.
or is
bubbles
that-
are
does that
fine.
mean
yeah.
anything?
Yeah, and
No?
those might actually come up to the surface as well.
Oh, like they'll work their way up. Okay.
But we don't have impurities. It's not foggy or cloudy.
No.
Which is that's where if we
No.
put if we
Oh,
put
I can see them going up.
if we put
slowly.
ground cinnamon or something like that,
Yeah.
that's where it'll start to make it cloudy.
Okay. Okay. And so, like, a jelly is a clear thing,
so-
and a jam has chunks in it. Is
So
that
yeah,
the difference?
usually jelly's made from juice and jam is whole fruit, right? So your jam has the whole fruit particles in it, where
Yeah.
jelly's made from the juice of whatever fruit you're
Right.
using. So and with this we could add other fruits as well, right? So we could add a bit of like strawberry juice, or if we wanted
Right.
to, we could
Make a
make a
blend.
strawberry crab apple, or
Yeah.
we're using that crab apple pectin to get it to set, but we can add other flavor. All right.
All right. So that's it.
Yep.
We've made jelly. It's that easy.
It's that easy.
It's that easy when you're working with the professionals.
Now you know what to do with your crab apples that grow in your yard.
Yes. You don't have to throw them out and scrape them up with the rake and curse the wasps that are all around them.
Exactly.
Get them before they fall, turn them into jelly. Thank you for joining us on our very first episode of Westman Culinary Showcase, and huge thanks to Brad and Chase for doing all the heavy lifting and the hard work.
Thanks
and
for
having all-
having us.
Yeah, the knowledge and the skills, and Assiniboine College and the, am I going to get it right? The Manitoba Culinary Institute.
Manitoba Institute of Culinary Arts.
Manitoba Institute of Culinary Arts. And that's, I was thinking about, this is really like, cooking is like a cross section between art and science in a
little
way.
bit, yeah.
And then that you can eat. And thank you to Westman Communications, WCG TV, of course, for being here with us. I'm Emmy from the Brandon Downtown Biz. And look for us next time on the Westman Culinary Showcase. Bye.